Okay, my name is Professor Arindra, and now we will discuss about chapter 10, that is cast iron. And my main reference is a book that's Metallurgy for the Non-Metallurgy second edition. So we next to chapter 10.1. 10.1 Basic Metallurgy of Cast Iron. Cast iron are heterogeneous, multi-component ferrous alloy that solidify with an authentic. For example, when an iron with 2.5 carbon is cooled below the liquid line, freezing begins first with the formation of austenite dendrites. These dendrites grow and new dendrites from the temperature drop through the freezing range, and the carbon content of remaining liquid also increase. As the newly formed austenite gains exit carbon, when the increasing carbon content and decreasing temperature reach authentic value, authentic solidification occurs at the authentic temperature of 1154 degrees Celsius. For graphite or baseline, or 1148 degrees Celsius for cemented and solid line. Because of the high carbon content, the structure of cast iron as opposed to that of steels exhibits a carbon-rich space depending primarily on composition, cooling rate, and melt treatment. The carbon-rich space solidified either into thermodynamically metastable cementite or as stable graphite. These two types of authentic solidification can occur. And when the metastable path is followed during authentic solidification, the microstructure after solidification is a mixture of the Fe3C carbide and austenite. When stable graphite formed during solidification, the authentic structure is a mixture of graphite in austenite. 10.2 Classification of cast iron. The historical classification of gray and white cast iron based on the fracture appearance still applies today. Cast iron are also classified as either common or special cast iron. Common cast iron are for general purpose application and are unalloyed or low alloy composition. Special cast iron, as the name implies, are for special purpose application. Special cast iron differs from the common cast iron mainly in their high content of alloying element, which promotes microstructure having special properties for elevated temperature application, corrosion resistant, and or wear resistant. A general classification of cast iron by name and metallurgical structure is provided. For common cast iron, the range of alloying with carbon and silicon varies by the type of iron. As compared with steel, it is apparent that iron have carbon in excess of the maximum solubility of carbon is austenite, which is shown by the lower dashed line. The upper dashed line is carbon equivalent for the austenitic composite. The correspondence between commercial and microstructural classification, as well as the final processing stage in obtaining common cast iron. With the advent of metallography, the shape of graphite are classified by type such as those is ASTM A247. 10.3 Gray cast iron. Gray cast iron is the most common form of cast iron is characterized by microstructure with flake or lamellar graphite embedded in a steel matrix. Gray iron comprises a range of hypoauthentic and hyperauthentic composition. Many gray irons are hypoauthentic and their solidification behavior can be illustrated with the help of the simplified Henry authentic diagram taken at percent at temperature above 0.1. The iron is entirely molten. As the temperature falls and the liquidus line is crossed, primary freezing begins with the formation of pro-authentic austenite dendrites. These dendrites grow and new dendrites form as the temperature drops to the primary freezing range between 0.1 and 2. Dendritic size is governed by the carbon equivalent of the melt and freezing rate. The faster freezing rate and the higher the carbon content, the finer the dendrites. 10.4 Ductile iron. Ductile iron, also known as nodular iron or spheroidal graphite iron, is very similar to a gray iron in composition. But during solidification, the graphite nucleus as spherical particle in ductile iron rather than as flake. This is complexized to the addition of the very small amount of magnesium and or cerium to the molten iron. The chief advantage of ductile iron over gray iron is combination of relatively high tensile strength and ductility, up to 18% elongation for ferritic ductile iron with a tensile strength of 415 MPa, as opposed to only 0.6% elongation for a gray iron of comparable strength. This improvement in ductility is due to the shape of spheroidal graphite, which has a lower stress concentration factor than the sharper angular boundaries of black graphite. Ductile iron tend to be darker than other types of iron for this reason. 10.5 Malleable iron. The history of malleable iron goes back to the Europe. The French scientist and metallurgist R.A.F. de Reimer published the first technical discussion of malleable iron casting, estimated at 1720 to 1722. In America, malleable iron was introduced by Saint Boyden, who knew of the white-hot malleable iron of Europe and foresaw a potential market for such a material. He started a series of experiments to find out how to produce malleable iron. Because of the chemical composition of the pig iron used, Boyden found the fracture of his specimen black and gray or black hard due to the presence of the free carbon after the heat treatment process. In 1831, he was granted to the first American patent for malleable iron. Subsequently, the production of casting began in his foundry in New York, NG. 10.6 Compact graphite iron. Compact graphite iron are the newest member of the cast iron family to be developed as a discrete category. Compact or vermicular graphite iron have inadvertently been produced in the past as a result of insufficient magnesium or cerium levels in milk intend to produce spheroidal graphite ductile iron. However, has only been since 1965 that compact iron has usurped its place in the cast iron family as a material with distinct properties requiring distinct manufacturing technologies. The first patent was obtained by R.D. Schilling. Compact graphite iron are more widely produced in Europe than in the United States or elsewhere. 10.7 Special cast iron. Special cast iron are typically high alloy irons which can also be classified as either white or graphite iron. In gray and ductile iron, small amount of alloying elements such as chromium, molybdenum, or nickel are used primarily to achieve high strength or to ensure the attainment of a specified minimum strength in heavy section. Otherwise, alloying elements are used most exclusively to enhance resistance to abrasive wear off or chemical corrosion, or to extend service life at elevated temperature. The oldest group of high alloy iron of industrial importance in the nickel chromium white irons or NiHARS irons, which have been produced since about 1990s. They are very cost-efficient material for crushing and grinding. In this metallic white iron, nickel is primarily alloying element because at level of 3 to 5%, it is effective in suppressing the transformation of the austenite matrix to pearlite, thus ensuring that a hard martensitic structures, or usually containing significant amounts of the retained austenite, will develop upon cooling in the mold. Chromium is included in this alloy at levels from 1.4 to 4% to ensure the solidification of carbides, that is the counteract the graphitizing effect of nickel. Okay, that's all from me. If you have a question, you can write below in comment section. Thank you for all. Happy watching.